Before we start, if you enjoy the story, please leave a like and check if you're subscribed. The plasma cutter died with a sputter. Dane Holt set down the tool and wiped sweat from his forehead, the colony's humid air clinging to his skin despite the cooling units running full blast. Behind him, metal scraped against concrete as Ash shifted position. "I know, I'm almost done." The young predator rumbled, scales catching amber work lights. At 4 meters from snout to tail, Ash had long since outgrown the workshop, but he crammed himself into the corner anyway. Bronze and green scales rippled as he stretched, spinal ridges scraping the ceiling. His eyes, vertical slits of molten gold, tracked Dane's every movement. Dane found the replacement coupling and held out his hand. Torque driver. Ash's head swiveled, one massive claw extended with surprising delicacy, hooking the tool from its rack and depositing it into Dane's palm. Good. 3 years of this. 3 years since he'd found the dying escape pod and the thing inside small enough to cup in both hands. He should have reported it. But Dane had stopped following orders the day they'd told him to fire on civilians. The coupling clicked into place. Dane powered up the cutter, watched the plasma stream stabilize. Ash made a sound between a purr and a growl. Then every alarm in the compound screamed. Dane's hand found his pistol before thought caught up. Red lights pulsed. The display showed 3 contacts breaking atmosphere, warships. His jaw clenched. 3 years of borrowed time, and the bill had come due. "Ash, with me." He moved through the compound, grabbing weapons from hidden caches. Rifle, charges, grenades he'd sworn he'd never need. The external feeds showed dropships detaching, burning white trails across twilight sky. Dane checked the rifle's charge and stopped at the exterior door. "I need you to hide." Ash's bark rattled the walls. The predator pushed forward, positioning himself between Dane and the door. Protective, loyal, everything that should have been impossible. The first dropship touched down 200 meters out. Dust exploded from landing thrusters. Warriors emerged, 6 insectoid soldiers flanking the ramp in perfect formation. But they weren't advancing. They were waiting. Then she appeared, and Dane's breath caught. 7 feet tall, presence radiating like heat from a star. Orange and black striped fur caught fading light. Ancient armor covered her torso, etched with symbols he couldn't read. Feline ears swiveled forward. A long tail moved with serpentine fluidity. She descended the ramp with lethal grace, eyes locked on the compound. Ash went absolutely still, a low keen built in his throat, recognition. She crossed half the distance before stopping, her head tilted, scenting air. When she spoke, Dane's translator struggled before clicking into place. "Come out, human. Face what you've done." Not a request, a command. Dane glanced at Ash. The young predator's pupils had dilated to full moons, body language screaming conflict. "Stay behind me." He triggered the door. It hissed open and Dane stepped through, rifle lowered but ready. Ash followed, squeezing through and drawing up to full height. His wings flared, spinal ridges raised. The Empress froze. Then she surged forward, warriors scrambling to keep pace, her tail lashed behind her, claws extended with metallic clicks. She stopped 10 meters away. Feline features sharp and beautiful and utterly alien. Her amber-green eyes moved between him and Ash with physical intensity. "My child," she said, voice cracking, "my child lives." Ash took 1 step forward, then another. The keen grew louder, more complex. He launched himself at her, covering the distance in 3 bounds. She caught him as he crashed into her, arms wrapping around his neck. The sounds they made together were beyond interpretation, rumbles and purrs and grief. Dane's chest tightened. He'd known Ash had been taken from her, seen the emergency beacon, the signs of battle. But knowing was different from watching. The Empress pulled back, hands moving over Ash, checking for injuries. Her expression shifted from relief to confusion to something harder. She stood slowly, pushing Ash behind her. Her eyes found Dane, the warmth had vanished. "You kept my offspring alive." "Yes." "Why?" "Because leaving it to die seemed like a waste." Her lips pulled back from sharp teeth. Pretty words from a species known for trafficking in exotic creatures. "We're also known for compassion, sometimes." She circled him slowly. He tracked her with his eyes, body still. She stopped close enough that he felt heat radiating from her. Her hand rose, claws resting against his jaw with enough pressure to dimple skin. "What have you done to my child?" "I raised it," Dane said carefully. "Fed it, trained it, kept it safe." "Trained it how?" "To hunt, to think, to choose when to kill and when not to." Her eyes narrowed. "We do not teach such things. Warriors fight. That is their purpose." "Maybe that's the problem." Her claws pressed harder. He felt skin break, warmth trickling down his neck. Ash roared. The sound rattled through Dane's chest. Ash surged forward, inserting himself between them with enough force to push his mother back. He stood over Dane, wings spread, teeth bared. The Empress stared. "Stand down." Ash didn't move. "I am your Empress. Your dam you will obey." Ash's response was complex, submission mixed with defiance, respect tangled with protection. He slowly folded his wings but didn't move from shielding Dane. The Empress's tail went completely still. "What have you done to my child?" Dane wiped blood from his neck. "I already told you, I gave it a choice." "Warriors don't choose, they obey." "Ash isn't just a warrior." "Ash," she tested the word, "you named it?" And yes. She looked at Ash again, truly seeing him, the intelligence in his eyes, the bond that should have been impossible. Her hand moved to a weapon. Dane's finger found his trigger. Ash tensed. Then she lowered her hand and straightened. "You will come with me, both of you. You will face judgment for what you have done." "And if I refuse? Then I kill you now and my child learns his first lesson in loss." She stepped closer. "But I think you are curious, human. You want to understand what you have created." She was right. 3 years of questions, of wondering what Ash would become. "I want to understand first," she continued, "how a human did what an empire of warriors could not, how you made my child love you." The word hung between them, love. She'd said it like an accusation. Dane looked at Ash. The young predator looked back with trust, so absolute it made his throat tight. "When do we leave?" The Empress's tail resumed its motion. A smile touched her features. "At dawn, you have until then to prepare." She turned, then paused. "What do I call the human who stole my heir?" "Dane Holt." "I am Kaiva, Empress of the Scattered Throne, breaker of the old guard, first among hunters." She glanced back. "And you, Dane Holt, have complicated my life in ways you cannot begin to understand." She walked away, warriors forming around her. The ramp remained down. They weren't leaving. She would be watching. Dane waited until they'd disappeared before letting out his breath. His hands shook slightly as he safed the rifle. Ash pressed against his side, warm and solid. "Yeah," Dane said softly. "I know, this is going to be a problem." The predator rumbled agreement, and together they watched the sun set on their last night of peace. Dawn broke with Kaiva already circling the compound. Dane watched through the window as she examined everything. The reinforced shelter he'd built for Ash, the training equipment, the careful blend of human technology and predator accommodation. Her tail told stories, sharp lashes at things that displeased her, slow coils when something caught her interest. Right now it moved in tight figure eights as she crouched beside the obstacle course. Dane finished strapping down his gear and stepped outside. Morning mist clung to the ground. Kaiva's head swiveled toward him with predatory precision. "How long did you spend building this?" "About 6 months. He was getting too big for indoor training." She stood, moving to the next station. "My kind learned through combat, blood and victory." "Your kind also had a succession war that killed hundreds." Dane crossed his arms. "Including nearly killing your son." Her ears flattened. She was in front of him before he could blink, close enough that he had to tilt his head back. "You know nothing of our ways, human." "I know Ash was in an escape pod alone, dying." He held her stare. "I know I made a different choice." Her hand shot out, gripping his throat. Not squeezing, but the threat was clear. This close he could see patterns in her fur, small scars hidden beneath, smell something sharp like ozone after lightning. "Careful, I have killed for less." "Then do it, but don't pretend it's about honor." Her pupils dilated, the grip tightened, then released. She stepped back, tail lashing once. Show me what you taught my son." Dane called for Ash. The predator emerged, scales gleaming with dew. Pattern 7. Ash launched into motion. He hit the obstacle course at full speed. Platforms in sequence, a leap utilizing his wings for distance, a crawl through narrow passages, a problem station requiring object manipulation. Kaiva watched in silence. When Ash returned, sitting at Dane's feet, she circled them both. He's faster than he should be. He's efficient, there's a difference. His wings aren't as strong as they should be. Because I don't push him beyond what his body can handle. She stopped in front of Ash, studying him with intensity that made the predator shift. You've made him soft. Dane pulled a pulse grenade, activated it, threw it toward the tree line. Ash's head snapped toward the sound. His body tensed, but he didn't move. The flashbang detonated. Ash's eyes tracked back to Dane, waiting. Warriors charge toward threats, Kaiva said. I've taught him to assess. Big difference when the threat might kill you. He is bred for war, death is expected. He's 3 years old. Kaiva's tail coiled tight. She ran a hand along Ash's neck. The predator leaned into the touch, purring. Something in her expression softened before hardening again. I was told my son died with honor, that the attack left no survivors. She looked at Dane. Instead, I find him here, alive, responding to a human's commands. Tell me how this happened. Inside, they sat across from each other. Ash settled between them. Kaiva had removed her gauntlets, and Dane noticed the way her hands moved, claws retracting and extending with her thoughts. He told her about finding the pod, the dying life support, the first months of sleepless nights and constant feeding. I didn't know what I was doing. I used veterinary databases, xenobiology texts. Most of it was useless. Because we don't coddle our young. They survive or they don't. Coddling kept him alive. Kaiva's ears twitched. Then you simply raised him? Like a pet? Like a partner. I taught him to hunt because he needed to eat. To fight because this colony isn't safe. To think because mindless violence gets you killed. Our warriors are not mindless. Then why did they tear themselves apart in a succession war? She slammed both hands on the table. Metal groaned. Ash's head snapped up, but Dane held up a hand, and the predator settled. You dare judge us? Your kind destroys planets for profit. Dane stood slowly. You're right. We're terrible at a lot of things, but at least we don't pretend killing each other makes us strong. They stared across the table, air charged between them. Kaiva's breathing had quickened. Why? Her voice dropped. Why did you save him? Because I was ordered to kill children once. I refused. Cost me everything. Dane's hands curled into fists. When I found Ash, I had a chance to make a different choice. Kaiva straightened slowly. Her tail went still. She looked at Ash, then back at Dane. You have a scar, left shoulder, burn mark. Plasma rifle. Court-martial doesn't always go smoothly. They shot you for refusing an order? They tried to arrest me. I resisted. She moved around the table. Her hand rose, claws retracted, palm resting against his chest, feeling his heartbeat. You truly see him as more than a weapon. I see him as Ash. Her hand stayed where it was, burning through his shirt. Ash made a questioning sound. Kaiva pulled back, something complicated crossing her features. My fleet commander sent word this morning. My rivals have tracked me here. Dane's stomach dropped. How many? Enough. They believe I came to recover my son's body. Her eyes met his. If they discover he lives and that a human has influenced him, they will kill him to preserve our bloodline's purity. How long do we have? Hours, perhaps less. She turned to the window. I could kill you now. Tell them I found only corpses. End this before it begins. You could try. She glanced back, something that might have been approval in her expression. Yes, you would fight, but Ash would never forgive either of us. So what's the alternative? We fight, together. She said it like the words tasted strange. I protect what is mine, even from my own kind. She moved back to him, and this time when she invaded his space, it felt different. Your scent changes when you are near me. Adrenaline, fear, but something else too. Dane's throat went dry. You're reading too much into biology. Am I? You challenge me when you should submit. Either you are very brave or very foolish. Her hand rose, tracing his jaw with one claw. Or perhaps you feel it too, this impossibility between us. I don't know what you're talking about. Liar, she stepped back. We have work to do. Show me your defenses. They spent 2 hours preparing. Kaiva moved through the compound with military efficiency, identifying weaknesses. When she brushed past him in the tight armory, their bodies pressed together for a heartbeat longer than necessary. By noon, the compound was fortified. Ash patrolled the perimeter. It was just the 3 of them now. Kaiva stood at the window. They will be here soon. Dane checked his rifle. Any advice for fighting your own kind? Aim for the joints in their armor. They rely on strength over speed. She turned to face him. If I fall, take Ash and run. My ship's commander has his orders. Which are? To protect my son at any cost. The proximity alarm screamed. 3 ships broke through cloud cover, larger than Kaiva's, bristling with weapons. Kaiva's hand found her sword hilt. Dane moved beside her. Ash growled low and dangerous. Kaiva's tail brushed against Dane's leg. Deliberate. For what it's worth, thank you for choosing him. I have not chosen yet, human. I am simply delaying the inevitable. Same thing from where I'm standing. She glanced at him. Perhaps you have already taught me more than I wish to admit. The first ship landed. Ramps descended, warriors emerged, dozens of them, heavily armed. At their center, a male of Kaiva's species, larger, older, covered in battle scars, his armor darker, his presence radiating violence. Vorath had arrived. Kaiva's entire body tensed. Stay close. When this starts, it will be fast. Dane's finger found the trigger guard. Ash's scales rattled with aggression. Vorath's voice boomed across the compound. Kaiva, I am here to collect your son's remains and witness your shame. Surrender yourself for judgment. Kaiva stepped through the door, Dane and Ash flanking her. She stood tall, chin raised. I am Kaiva of the Scattered Throne, and I answer to no one. Vorath laughed. Proud words from a failed mother. Show me the body of your tainted offspring. Kaiva's tail lashed once. Then she stepped aside, revealing Ash. Silence fell. Vorath stared, his warriors shifted, weapons rising. My son lives, Kaiva said clearly, and he is not tainted, he is evolved. Vorath's roar shook the air. You dare present this abomination as heir! The human has corrupted our bloodline! The human has shown me what we have forgotten. Then you leave me no choice. You and your pet human die today, the creature with them. Vorath's warriors charged. Kaiva's sword sang free. Now, Dane! The world exploded into violence. Dane's first shot took a warrior in the throat joint. The insectoid dropped, mandibles clicking. Kaiva was already moving, a blur of orange and black that intercepted 2 more with brutal efficiency. Her sword opened one from shoulder to hip. Ash hit the left flank, scattering 3 warriors. The young predator fought with calculated strikes, using terrain advantage, never overcommitting. One warrior underestimated him. Ash's jaws closed around its limb and tore it free. Dane dropped behind the barricade, switching to pulse rounds. The compound's layout forced Vorath's forces into a bottleneck. He fired in controlled bursts, covering Kaiva's advance. She fought like nothing he'd ever seen. Her tail whipped to knock a warrior off balance before her sword found its heart. She spun, deflecting plasma, and drove claws through another attacker's faceplate. A warrior broke through on Dane's right. He rolled, firing. It kept coming. He pulled his knife and drove it up through abdomen armor. Hot fluid sprayed across his hands. Dane above! He threw himself sideways as a warrior dropped from the roof. Kaiva's sword took its head before it could turn. She grabbed his arm, hauling him upright. Their eyes met. Then she shoved him toward cover as plasma fire stitched the ground. Vorath watched from behind his warriors, massive arms crossed. His forces were winning through attrition. For every 3 they dropped, 2 more pushed forward. Dane's rifle clicked empty. He slammed in a new charge, 2 magazines left. Kaiva fought near the entrance, holding the bottleneck. Blood matted her fur. She was slowing. A dodge came half a second late, opening a gash along her ribs. A warrior got past Ash, rushing Kaiva's flank. Dane's shot took it in the knee. It stumbled. Ash was on it, tearing into its throat. Kaiva glanced back. Her eyes found Dane's. Something passed between them. Then Vorath moved. He crossed the battlefield in 3 strides. His fist caught Kaiva in the chest, lifting her off her feet. She hit the wall hard enough to crack composite plating. Enough, you shame yourself, Kaiva, fighting alongside this human filth. Kaiva pushed herself upright, coughing blood. I fight for what I choose to protect. You fight for weakness. Vorath gestured toward Ash. Look at what he has made of your son, a creature that waits for commands instead of taking what it wants. A survivor, Kaiva spat, something you know nothing about. Dane chambered around. Want to test that theory? Vorath's attention swung to him. The human speaks. Do you truly believe you can stand against me? I believe I've kept your heir alive for 3 years. What have you done besides kill your own kind? Vorath roared and charged. Kaiva intercepted him halfway, sword meeting claws. They traded blows too fast to follow, her speed against his power. The other warriors stopped fighting, watching. Dane moved to Ash, checking for injuries. Minor cuts, nothing serious. Not yet, Dane said quietly. Let her finish this. But Kaiva was losing. Vorath caught her sword arm, twisted, bone cracked. Kaiva's scream turned to a snarl. She raked her free hand across his face. He backhanded her down. Vorath stood over her, breathing heavy. This is what comes from mercy, from weakness. He looked at Dane. Kill the human. Bring me the abomination. Warriors moved forward. Dane raised his rifle, Ash positioned at his side. Then Kaiva laughed. She pushed herself up on one arm, the other hanging useless. You still don't understand, Vorath. You never did. I understand you have failed. No, I have learned. She whistled, sharp, piercing, made a hand signal. Ash responded immediately, moving to put Vorath between him and Kaiva. Vorath turned, trying to track both threats. Tricks will not save you. They're not tricks, they're tactics. Kaiva's eyes met Dane's. Show him. Dane understood. He moved left as Ash moved right, forcing Vorath to split his attention. Kaiva attacked from the front. Vorath was powerful, but bred for single combat. He couldn't track 3 opponents using different approaches. Dane's shots hit weak points, knees, joints. Ash struck and retreated. Kaiva pressed the attack even injured, her sword finding gaps Dane's fire created. They moved like a unit, pack tactics against a lone predator. Vorath roared in frustration. He caught Ash with a wild swing. Dane rushed in, jamming his rifle against Vorath's side and emptying the magazine point blank through an armor gap. Vorath backhanded him away. Kaiva's sword found his throat. She drove it deep, twisting. Vorath dropped to his knees. She leaned close, whispered something, then pulled the blade free. Vorath collapsed forward. Silence fell. The remaining warriors stared. One dropped his weapon, then another. Within moments, all of them had knelt. Kaiva stood over Vorath's body, breathing hard. Her broken arm hung useless. Blood soaked through her armor, but her tail raised high. I am Kaiva of the Scattered Throne. Any who challenge my rule, step forward now. No one moved. Then hear this. My son lives. He has been trained by a human, and that training has made him stronger than any purebred warrior. This is our future. Evolution through adaptation. She turned to Dane, walked toward him slowly. The warriors watched. Ash watched. She stopped close enough that he felt her heat. Her good hand cupped his face. You asked what comes after, assuming we survive. She kissed him. It wasn't gentle. Her fangs caught his lip, drawing blood. Her hand gripped the back of his neck, hard enough to bruise. When she pulled back, her eyes held heat that had nothing to do with battle. You are mine now, Dane Holt. Mine to protect, mine to claim, mine to keep. She said it loud enough for every warrior to hear. Any who touch him answer to me. Dane's throat was dry. That's not how humans usually negotiate relationships. I am not human, and this is not negotiation. Her tail wrapped around his waist, pulling him closer. She'd just claimed him in front of her entire force. Your Empress is insane, Dane said quietly. Yes, but she is also yours. Kaiva moved to Ash, checking injuries with her good hand, making small sounds of comfort entirely at odds with the warrior who'd just killed her rival. She straightened, addressing her forces. Clear the dead, tend to the wounded. We leave at nightfall. Where are we going? Dane asked. Home, to my throne, to show them all what you have made. They'll try to kill me. Yes, Probably. Her smile was sharp, but they will have to go through me first. Night fell as they prepared to leave. Dane packed light, weapons, a few personal items, the data chip containing his medical notes on Ash. Kaiva found him in his quarters, her broken arm now splinted. You should have that looked at properly. I will, once we reach my ship. Her good hand found his chest. Are you afraid? Terrified. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. Her claws traced his collarbone. When we reach my homeworld, there will be challenges. Some of my people will never accept you. I'm used to not being accepted. But you're not used to being mine. That changes things. It means we stand together or fall together. She kissed him again, slower this time, exploring. Her tail tightened, pulling their bodies flush. When she pulled away, they were both breathing hard. We should go before I decide to delay our departure. Would that be so bad? Ask me again when we are not surrounded by my warriors, and when I have both hands functional. They boarded her ship as dawn broke. Ash claimed space in the cargo bay. The warriors gave them room, but Dane felt their eyes. Curiosity, suspicion, fear. Kaiva stood at the viewport, watching the compound shrink below. Dane moved beside her. Any regrets? Many, but none about this. She glanced at him. You? Ask me when we're not flying into certain political disaster. She smiled. I look forward to it. The ship broke atmosphere, and the stars opened before them. Somewhere out there was Kaiva's homeworld, her throne, her people who would see him as either miracle or abomination. But she stood beside him, tail wrapped around his waist, and Ash slept below. Maybe they'd survive what came next, too. The journey took 6 days. Kaiva's ship carved through hyperspace while Dane learned what it meant to exist in her world. The warriors watched him constantly, some with curiosity, others with barely concealed hostility. Kaiva's quarters were larger than his entire compound had been. She'd insisted he stay there, and he hadn't argued, not when her tail wrapped around him at night or when she pressed against him with a purr that vibrated through his bones. On the 3rd night, her arm healed enough to remove the splint. She flexed her fingers, then turned to where Dane sat cleaning his rifle. Come here. He set down the weapon and crossed to her. She pulled him onto the sleeping platform, her hand tangling in his hair while the newly healed one traced the scars on his chest. These are from battles? Most of them. This one's from the court-martial. He touched the burn on his shoulder. This one's from Ash teething. Her laugh was low. He did that to me as well. Her claws traced lower, and his breath caught. These scars tell me you are a survivor, like me. Is that why you want me? I want you because you made me question everything, because you stood against Vorath without hesitation, because when you look at Ash, you see a person, not a weapon. Her hand cupped his face. And because your scent drives me mad. She kissed him with hunger that had been building since the battle. He responded, hands finding the fastenings of her armor. She helped him remove it, piece by piece, until only fur and skin remained. Her body was all lean muscle and dangerous grace, and when she pressed him back, her weight pinning him, he felt like prey in the best possible way. Tell me if it's too much. It won't be. She proved him wrong. Her strength was overwhelming, her passion fierce enough to leave marks. But underneath was something tender. The way she purred when he touched her ears, the way her tail wrapped around his leg, the way she whispered his name. When they finally lay tangled together, she traced patterns on his chest with one claw. My people will see this as madness. Probably. They will challenge you, test you, try to prove you are unworthy. Let them. She propped herself up, studying his face. You are not afraid of them. I'm terrified, but I'm more afraid of losing this. He pulled her hand to his lips. Of losing you. Her pupils dilated. She kissed him again, slower, and they didn't speak for a long while after. On the 6th day, the ship dropped out of hyperspace. Dane stood at the viewport as her homeworld filled the view. Purple and green continents, 3 moons, sprawling cities that glittered like jewels. The capital is there, she pointed, where my throne sits, where the council will be waiting. What happens when we land? I present you and Ash to the council, then they decide if you live or die. her tail wrapped around his waist. I will not let them harm you, neither will Ash. They landed in a massive hangar. Warriors lined the bay, hundreds of them, all armed, all watching. At their center stood a group of older individuals, their armor ornate, their presence commanding. The council? Kaiva took a breath and became the Empress again. Only her tail, still wrapped around Dane's waist, betrayed her true feelings. Stay close, say nothing unless addressed, and whatever happens, do not show fear. The boarding ramp descended. Ash moved to Kaiva's other side. The three of them walked down together, and silence fell. One council member stepped forward, female, older, her fur graying, but her eyes sharp. Kaiva, we received word of Vorath's death, that you returned with unusual company. Counselor Shira, Kaiva's voice carried absolute confidence. I present my son Ash alive and thriving and his guardian Dane Holt. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Shira's eyes moved from Ash to Dane. Guardian? An interesting choice. The reports said the humans stole your heir. The reports were incorrect. The human saved my heir when my own kind left him to die. By raising him as a pet. By teaching him what we have forgotten. Kaiva gestured to Ash. Show them. Ash moved through complex maneuvers, combat forms, problem-solving, coordinated tactics with Kaiva. The crowd watched in silence. When Ash finished, Shira's expression remained neutral. Impressive, but it proves nothing except that the human has trained your son like an animal. Dane's jaw clenched. Kaiva's claws extended slightly. Then test him yourself. Set any challenge and we will meet it. We? Shira's eyes narrowed. You speak as though you and the human are united. We are. He is mine and I am his. The murmurs grew louder, shocked, scandalized. Shira's expression showed disgust mixed with disappointment. You have claimed a human, an inferior species. You would pollute our bloodline further? I would evolve it, just as Ash has evolved beyond what any pure warrior could achieve. Bold words, but words mean nothing without proof. Shira turned to the warriors. I invoke the trial of worth. The human will face 3 challenges. If they survive, the council will recognize the claim. If they fail, both die and Ash returns to proper training. Kaiva's tail tightened around Dane. Accepted. Name the challenges. First, combat. The human will face one of our warriors without weapons. Dane's stomach sank. Second, intellect. Ash will undergo our traditional tactical assessment. Kaiva nodded, jaw tight. Third, the Empress herself will hunt the human through the sacred grounds. If he survives 1 hour, he proves his worth. Kaiva went absolutely still. You would have me hunt my own mate? I would have you prove your judgment is not compromised. Shira stepped closer. Unless you wish to withdraw the claim and execute him now? Dane felt Kaiva's body tense. Her claws were fully extended, tail rigid. She was calculating odds, trying to find a way out that didn't exist. He put his hand on her arm. She looked at him, and he saw fear in her eyes for the first time. I accept the challenges, Dane said clearly, all 3 of them. Yes, he met Shira's eyes. When do we start? Shira's smile widened. Immediately. The combat trial begins in 1 hour. She turned and walked away, council members following. Many remained, clearly planning to watch the human die. Kaiva pulled Dane aside, away from listening ears. Her hand gripped his shoulder hard enough to hurt. You should not have accepted. I could have found another way. There is no other way. You know that. I will not hunt you. I will refuse. And they'll execute us both, plus Ash. He cupped her face. I didn't survive 3 years alone just to give up now. You cannot win against a warrior in hand-to-hand combat. Maybe not, but maybe I can survive long enough to make them respect the attempt. He smiled, though it felt hollow. Besides, you'll be there. That is not comforting. It's not supposed to be. He kissed her, slow and deep, tasting fear and fury and desperation. When he pulled back, she was shaking. Whatever happens, don't regret this, don't regret us. Her claws traced his jaw, careful not to break skin. I regret nothing except not having more time. Ash pressed against them both, making a low sound of distress. Kaiva wrapped her free arm around him, and the 3 of them stood together while the countdown began. 1 hour, then Dane would step into an arena against a creature bred to kill, with nothing but his wits and training. He'd survived worse odds before. At least he tried to convince himself of that. The arena was ancient stone worn smooth by centuries of blood. Dane stood center, stripped to the waist, thousands watching him die. Kaiva sat in the Empress's box, Ash beside her. Her claws dug into the armrest. "The human face is Kreth," Shira announced. "No weapons, victory through submission or death." Kreth entered, 8 feet tall, dark scales built for killing. The gong sounded. Kreth charged. Dane dove sideways, Kreth's fist cratered stone. Dane kept distance, striking joints when opportunities appeared. Kreth's backhand sent him tumbling. Pain exploded through ribs. Dane threw sand at Kreth's eyes, got behind him, locked a chokehold. Kreth slammed him into the wall. Ribs cracked. Kreth lifted him by the throat. Dane pressed thumbs into Kreth's eyes. The warrior roared and dropped him. "Enough!" Shira's voice rang out. Kreth looked down at Dane. "He fights with honor, I yield." Silence, then murmurs. "The human survives the first challenge," Shira said. "Tomorrow we test the offspring's intellect." Kaiva was beside him immediately. "You idiot." "Did I win?" "You survived." Her medical bay knit bone and sealed wounds. The pain remained. "The second challenge will be easier." "And the third?" "The third we will face when it comes." "You'll have to hunt me, actually hunt me." Her eyes were raw. When the hunt blood rises, instinct takes over. The hunt is sacred. It is in our DNA to kill. "Then we train. Teach me everything." The next day, Ash faced intellectual trials. He excelled, combining warrior tactics with strategies Dane had taught him. Shira's expression soured. "The offspring has passed. Tomorrow at dawn you hunt your mate, 1 hour. If he survives, the claim is recognized." That night, Kaiva showed him maps. Dense forest, rocky outcroppings, river cutting through. The river masks scent. "You'll expect me to use it." "Yes, but you should anyway." "What happens when you catch me?" Her claws extended involuntarily. "I pin you. The instinct will be to kill. If I cannot stop, Ash will intervene." They lay tangled together that night, neither sleeping. "If this goes wrong," "It will not." "This was worth it. All of it." She kissed him, fierce and desperate. "You will survive." Dawn came. The sacred ground stretched before them, ancient trees, morning mist, distant river. Kaiva stood at the starting point in hunting gear, her claws extended, pupils dilated to full black. She wouldn't look at him. "The human has 1 hour. The Empress begins in 5 minutes." "Begin." Dane ran, hit the tree line at full sprint, 5 minutes before she came. Behind him, Kaiva's hunting roar split the air. Primal, savage. Dane pushed through undergrowth toward the river. His ribs ached, hand throbbed, but adrenaline kept him moving. He hit the riverbank and dove in. The current was strong. He let it carry him downstream. 10 minutes passed. Dane hauled himself onto rock, gasping. Movement in the canopy above. Fast? Kaiva was in the trees. Dane dove back into water as she dropped where he'd stood. He caught a glimpse. Eyes pure black, lips pulled back from fangs, every line screaming predator. She hit the water after him, closing distance with powerful strokes. Her hand caught his ankle. He kicked free, grabbed a branch and pulled himself onto the opposite bank. Ran. She was right behind. He could hear her breathing, hear her claws tearing bark. 30 minutes. Dane's lungs burned. He burst into a clearing and realized his mistake. No cover, no escape. Kaiva landed in front of him, blocking his path. She circled, tail lashing. Her pupils were still full black. When she spoke, her voice was guttural. "Caught you?" "Kaiva, it's me." She lunged. He dropped and rolled, but she anticipated it. Her hand caught his throat, slamming him down. She straddled him, claws pricking skin at 5 points. Her face was inches from his. Fangs bared, breath hot, every muscle coiled to kill. "Kaiva, come back to me?" She growled, purely animal. "I know you're in there." Her claws pressed harder, drew blood, no recognition. "I love you." The words came raw and honest. Her claws froze. Something flickered in those black eyes. "I love you. And I know you love me too. That's why you're fighting right now." Her hand trembled. Pressure eased fractionally. "Come back. You're stronger than instinct." Color bled into her pupils, amber and green fighting through black. Her hand opened, claws retracting. She stared at him, recognition dawning, horror following. But you didn't. A horn sounded 1 hour. Kaiva collapsed onto him, shaking. Her arms wrapped around him and she made a sound between sob and purr. I almost killed you. But you stopped. Ash crashed into the clearing, ready to intervene. He saw them together and the tension left his body. He pressed against them both. The human survives, Shira's voice rang out. The claim is recognized. The crowd roared, mixed approval and disapproval. Kaiva pulled back to look at Dane. Shame and relief warred in her expression. Never again. I will never hunt you again. Deal. She kissed him gentle this time, tasting like apology and promise. Her tail wrapped around his waist with fierce possessiveness. You are mine and I am yours. Dane smiled despite the pain. I love you too, in case that wasn't clear. It was clear. Her purr finally sounded right, and I love you, more than I thought possible. They stood together, Ash between them, and faced the council, faced her people, faced whatever came next. Later, in her quarters, Kaiva traced the new scars on his chest, the ones from the hunt, from the arena, from everything they'd survived. My people will never fully accept you. I don't need them to, I only need you. She kissed him slow and deep. Then you have me always. Her hands moved lower, claws retracted, touch reverent. They came together with both tenderness and hunger, celebration of survival, affirmation of choice, promise of future. When she finally lay beside him, tail wrapped around his leg, purring contentment, Dane felt something settle in his chest. This was home now. Not a place, a person, a family. Ash slept near the door, guarding them both. What happens now? Dane asked quietly. Now we rule. Together, we show them what evolution looks like. Her hand found his. We build something new. Sounds dangerous. Everything worth having is. She kissed him again, and they lost themselves in each other until dawn painted the sky purple and green. Outside, her empire waited. Challenges would come, opposition would rise, but they had survived the impossible already. Together, they could survive anything.